for me personally, it was also because listening to some of our head teachers was around the whole kind of justice climate emergency. So that's around, fuel poverty, energy poverty. Schools have decimation of budgets. They're walking around turning off lights to save energy. And with those depleted budgets, the real emergency for a lot of our schools is, how are they paying their fuel bills, their energy bills? And that also connects to some of our parents as well, real crisis of energy poverty in our homes and children coming into our schools. I can talk about, food poverty as well. Just, yeah, but they're coming in cold during the winter. These things over the last 12 months have been something that have been real and present. So I wanted to look at how we could support some of our schools, particularly around saving energy, moving into a more of a greener space as well. And when you contacted me, Francis, to tell me about this, I was like, yeah, this can make sense. It makes sense for all of our schools because they don't have the resources to put in to make some of the changes when we talk about the climate action plan. So what you presented and Lachlan presented was a way with the ambassadors to support the aim of getting these plans done. But then with locomotion as well, the educational side of the air pollution stuff with Aurora looking at key stage 2. My mind then went to, oh, we could do some real creative stuff maybe later on down the line where we really involve some of the school community around climate, but using art. So my head was like, we could do a bid to the Water for All or there's the Alan Lane Foundation. So I'm ahead of myself. That's how I work. But the main thing was around our schools really experiencing and are experiencing issues around funding and energy and how long term we address that. So the solar powers are key as well. So that's a long answer to your question, but that's why.
It's
That's
good.
why.
It also shows you like me. You like to organize, you like to create organization out of chaos, but you like to start with chaos. It's great to have that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we started and we started with four schools and you helped choose those four schools for us. Why did you choose those four schools? What made them particular?
Well, the first one, as Lachlan said, was Ed County because the head teacher, Paul Miller, who had already started this journey and had put the end result was the solar panels on the roof and could speak really eloquently about the power of this and in real terms how much money that saved. So having him as a champion of a spear carrier saying this is why it was important, so he could pass on that experience and that knowledge to other schools and the other schools because of the area. So if I look at St. John, St. James, that when I think of that school and Fore Street and all the things that come back to me are stuff to do in Lewisham 2013, Ella Casella and all of that, and kids going to school with respiratory problems, that is real in Fore Street. So my conversations with the head teacher there were around the issues she was experiencing around health, and again going back to how she wanted to save energy. And then the two other schools are Latimer All Saints School and Hounsfield School, who both, when you presented, Francis, way back when, about the possibilities of doing this, and particularly around energy and solar power, raised their hands from day one and said, I really want to get involved. But at the time, we didn't have the capacity to take it forward. So when you eventually approached me again, they were first to put up their hands. So they're in my head. So that's really why, because these are schools who, alongside the Ivy Trust, who have really taken this beyond, and actually now all of their schools, so this is Churchill School, for instance, have all of their climate action plans. So yeah, it was just something that these schools, particularly the two Church of England schools, don't have the finances, and Hounsfield was just like Rob just wanted to do it. So that's why it's about senior leadership who want to make a difference. And these schools, all the head teachers and senior leadership said, please put us in contact with Aurora, put us in contact with Vera, put us in contact with Tan Duo, I can't remember from the solar power. Just yeah, we want to do it.
Um, Now we're hoping to expand this, aren't we, Trevor?
Yeah.
And there is a meeting on Thursday, which we're going to be talking to other heads as well. So how
Mhm.
do you think we can move that forward?
Well, it's important to have particularly you in the room and all those heads to speak of what we've done so far. And like again, I must emphasize that we've got Paul Everett from Locomotion, who's part funded these pollution machines, which are going to fall part of this year two curriculum for our primary schools. So I just think it's important that those heads and senior leaders are in the room, particularly Paul Miller and you, to talk about what we're doing and for us to monitor that over the coming months to see if we can support other schools to get involved. The biggest thing is the ambassadors, and if they can start having conversations with key members, even parents in their schools about this, to say, would you be interested? And then we can have some of those ambassadors go down to those schools and share their insights. And maybe, just maybe, we might, out of this, just get another three ambassadors. To me, it may seem small, but that's big. If we just get three, and I do want to look at particularly around how we expand to David's point, beyond the scaremongering stuff. How do we ensure this is cascaded across the school? And I think it can be cascaded in different ways, particularly within the curriculum, as enrichment and extracurriculum activities. So it's about, for me, how can we get maybe artists or outside agencies who have either got funding or need funding to frame some of their work around climate and climate action, etc., in an interesting way that really ignites young people's imagination and their awareness. Again, to David's point, because if and to Aurora's point, they are the future. But if we start earlier on with them, hopefully they can implement a lot of these things as they move through the primary school, and that's key thing. Paul Miller oversees Ed County, was very connected to Ed County Primary, even though he's a secondary. So it's about how we start early with these kids to really build that knowledge, and it becomes part of their DNA, I hope, in the future. So that's why it's important. And whether I'm here or not, the important thing is that those schools grasp that, and we support from Edmund, particularly Edmonton Community Partnership, particularly around the fundraising, to make it interesting for kids to learn and to do something as civic ambassadors. Because, no matter how old you are part of your community, and you should have a footprint in how that community develops and addressing some of those key issues. That's how I see things anyway.